Hi, this is Parimoo back with the French History Podcast, Episode 2, Fate of the World. Can the beating of a butterfly's wings lead to a hurricane? Can the echoes of a single shot ring for 100 years? A century ago, the assassination of one man set in motion a chain of events that have never truly come to an end. World War I, the Treaty of Versailles, World War II, the Cold War, Vietnam War, the Afghan War, and the Mujahideen, Al Qaeda, 9/11, and on and on. We could turn the clock back and prevent that fateful bullet from ever being fired. Would it change the course of history? Or had humanity's fate been written in stone by the unflinching hand of destiny? Let's find out. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the next in line for the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, arrived in Sarajevo. Bosnia had been chafing under the Austrian rule, and the Archduke had hoped to address some of the concerns of the Serbs unhappy under the Austrian yoke. His motorcade, consisting of 6 cars, progressed lazily along the streets of Sarajevo on that clear summer day. As is expected of to be assassinated leaders, Franz Ferdinand, along with his wife, the Duchess Sophie, were traveling in a sports car with its top folded down, in a province known to be hostile to the royal family. Yes, I'm looking at you, JFK. As it happened, the route was also lined with 6 young and inexperienced yet hopeful assassins. These Bosnian Serbs, aligned with the secretive Black Hand, were determined to teach the empire a lesson for what they considered an illegitimate and harsh occupation of Bosnia. Chief among them was a student named Gavrilo Princip, leader of the ragtag group. Gabrinovic, Grabez, and Gavrilo Princip, the three main conspirators, were all suffering from tuberculosis and knew they would not live long. Guess it's easy to give your life for the cause when you're already dying. Armed with pistols and grenades, the six waited with sweaty palms and short breaths at different locations along the route. As the motorcade arrived, presumably a combination of nerves, inexperience, blurred vision, upset stomach, case of temporary conscience, who really knows, stopped the first 3 assassins from doing anything. The cars just passed them by, with the Archduke and his wife waving cheerfully at the gathered crowds. Nedeljko Kabrinovic, the fourth of the insidious 6, gathered his courage and managed to lob a grenade at the main car, but the projectile just bounced off the back of the car into the rear of the motorcade, injuring 20 people. As the Archduke's car dashed away in a frightened hurry, a desperate Nedeljko bit into his cyanide capsule and jumped into a nearby river just in case the cyanide failed to bestow him proper martyrdom. Alas, destiny had other plans, for his cyanide had expired. Not quite sure how that happens. And the river bed was a foot deep, not quite suited for the purposes of drowning. Vomiting, he was dragged out of the river by an angry mob and questioned vigorously before being rescued by an angrier police. The Archduke's vehicle now raced past a confused Princip towards the town hall for safety, where the mayor had been waiting eagerly to receive him. A furious Franz Ferdinand thundered at the mayor as he stepped off the car. "Mr. Mayor, one comes here for a visit and is received by bombs. This is outrageous." Sputtering and bewildered mayor, not quite knowing how to react, burst into his prepared welcome speech. It was all chaos. As the hours passed and a feeling of safety and normalcy crept back into the fold, Ferdinand and the Duchess decided to visit the injured from the earlier attack, who were being treated at a local hospital. Meanwhile, Gavrilo Princip, disgusted with the way things had gone down, decided he needed a drink. They had bungled the operation massively, and it was best to grab a drink before shuffling on. To this end, walk of shame, he walked into a local delicatessen by the name of Schiller's. In a bizarre turn of events, though, the driver taking the royal couple to the hospital lost his way due to last minute route changes and miscommunication among the staff, and stopped right in front of Schiller's to figure things out. Princip, not quite believing his eyes at first, walked up to the car, whipped out his pistol, and let off 2 shots. One hit Franz Ferdinand in his jugular, the other Sophie in her stomach. Eyewitness accounts of the fatal shooting suggest that the initial reaction from everyone was debilitating shock. Watching in horror as blood spurted out of her husband's neck, Sophie screamed, "In heaven's name, what has happened to you?" She then fell forward into her lap, motionless. At this, the Archduke lamented, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Stay alive for the children." As the rattled security inquired about his wound, he mumbled, "It's nothing, it's nothing," until his voice trailed off into the finality of death. The repercussions of this event are what informs our current worldview. A furious Austria-Hungary, who perhaps didn't need much encouragement and were waiting for an opportunity anyway, declared war against Serbia, who it suspected in having a hand in the assassination. The web of alliances between the European nations started the first great war of the 20th century in earnest. The rest, as they say, is bloody horrific history. The world would never be the same. As Princip and his co-conspirators were caught and put to trial, most of them lived long enough to see the fruits of their labor evolve into World War I and all its accompanying inhumanity and horror. Did they wonder if it was worth it? They feel responsible for the millions that were lost to the dogs of war? Or was it all destined and could not have been turned otherwise? The Archduke wanting to see the injured at the hospital, the driver getting lost en route, stopping right in front of the very shop that momentarily served Princip. I don't know. Makes me wonder if fate revealed its hidden hand that day, or whether this was just a random coincidence, comic timing behind the tragedy that in many ways continues to unfold to this very day. This is Parimoo with the Fringe History Podcast. Until next time.